Hello everyone, my name is Sophia. Today we will talk about ruler of Britannia himself, Lord British. While in the computer camp, Richard Garriott got a nickname of Lord British because apparently his manner of saying hello instead of hi sounded British. This worked because Richard was born in Cambridge, England. This rumor, or other ones likes of this Richard of Lone Star traveling to Britannia by using his keyboard of occult, or that his mother helped him craft his serpentine amulet, tells us nothing of our dear Lord British. Today we shall disprove all the vile rumors by using Book of Lore, commissioned by Lord British himself. One thing that rumors get right is the fact that Lord British was born on Earth. He lived and grew up in lands called British Isles. The young man who would later become Lord British, and whose name is unfortunately lost to the history, was fed up with the materialistic ways of his people, preferring to spend most of his time alone doing outdoors activities. Once, while on the hiking trip, he discovered the amulet shaped like a serpent. He picked the amulet up to return to its proper owner, no doubt, for as I mentioned earlier, the young man had no interest in material gains. What happened next was a shock to this young man. Unexpectedly, a moon gate opened in front of him, which would transport him to what we now know as the countryside of Sosaria. Here he met a woodcutter who was startled by the sudden appearance of the youths and struck his leg with an axe. What happened next amazed the youth even more. The woodcutter did not panic. He calmly healed his leg with the magic, giving the young man his first taste of magic. Woodcutter introduced himself as Shamino Saldassel. The young man, in shock of experience, mumbled on. Shamino managed to catch the fact that young man hailed from British Isles, giving him nickname of British. This is by far the most trustworthy story. This British was quite thrilled to experience the new world and have made quite a name for himself in his travels. It is even rumored that he brought his friends from Earth, Iolo the Bard and Apray the Knight, but young man was not an ordinary adventurer. Quite soon it became very obvious that he had a huge talent in magic. The hand of destiny must have brought him to Sosaria, since these were troubling times. The king of the Akalabeth, Wolfgang, was murdered by his own son Mondain, taking over his father's kingdom and corrupting his gem. He started a reign of terror in his kingdom of Akalabeth. Lord British gathered the army and led it against Mondain, defeating him in many battles, and driving Mondain and his demonic forces into various dungeons, taking over half of the kingdom of Akalabeth, earning the titles Lord British, Defender of Akalabeth and Champion of White Light. This speaks highly of the character of our Lord British. He would not crown himself a king, instead choosing the title of Lord Protector of Akalabeth. But of course, Mondain was still hiding. So, Lord British sent many of adventurers to clear out dungeons from Mondain's evil forces. One of these adventurers even managed to kill a furious beast known as Balron, earning the title of Knight. Many people suggest that this adventurer was a famed stranger himself, but unfortunately, our sources do not reveal the identity of this man. We do know that when times got tough, Lord British used his amulet and wished for champion. A couple days later, the champion had arrived at Lord British's castle. This was the aforementioned stranger who hailed from Earth, just like Lord British. Lord British gave him a quest to defeat Mondain, which the stranger completed. Lord British greatly rewarded him and gave out orders to all of the Sosarian lords to be in service of the champion. A weird cataclysm, no doubt caused by Mondain, split Britannia, isolating Lord British's lands. But before he could even investigate his new lands, a new evil struck Sosaria, Mondane's lover Menax manipulated the timelines and took over. At this point, Lord British moved with the rest of the survivors to British Isles on Earth, forming Council of Survivors from 1423 to 1998. He summoned the hero once more, who stopped Menix's evils once again. Avatar dealt with her swiftly and restored Sosaria. Lord British came back to Sosaria once more, but all was not well. Isles of fire emerged from the seas. He sent out cartographers to map out his new lands. Exodus, an evil spawn of Mondane and Minax, started assaulting Britannia. And again, Lord British summoned the stranger. He gave the hero 3 companions and awarded him with the Mark of the Kings. After the stranger defeated Exodus, the Battle of the Bloody Plains occurred where lords of Sosaria united against forces of evil. After all of the evil forces were defeated, Lord British held a great celebration and unified Sosaria, calling this new lands Britannia. He decided to give this new world a new ideology to solidify the unity, financing artisans, sculptors, shipwrights, and scholars. The rights were given to the citizens. He even created a better dating system for Britannia, no doubt inspired by time manipulations of Minax. A great council was formed and elected Lord British as their leader. He also built 3 castles dedicated to truth, love, and courage. He charged each of 8 cities to embody one of the 8 virtues. Each city would be dedicated to studying and spreading one virtue. He also called for a champion to embody all 8 virtues. Of course, these new reforms did not satisfy everyone. Mage named Elstrom left Britannia in protest, with many of his followers, no doubt to spread his evil ways somewhere else. But unfortunately for Lord British, no champion appeared, until one day the stranger came to Lord British once more. He was very happy to see his champion. After all, the stranger had done greatly in other situations. He asked the stranger once more to complete his quest, explaining to him how to become an avatar, champion of 8 virtues. Stranger became an avatar by finding codex of ultimate wisdom and enlightenment in all 8 virtues, after which he left for Earth. Lord British called for council once more to remove codex from the void. He situated codex to a new place, which is now known as Isles of Avatar. He also decided to seal all the dungeons. This caused the curious phenomenon. All of the dungeons got interconnected. Lord British went down to the underworld to investigate, leaving his most loyal companion, Blackthorn, as the regent. Of course, he did not know yet what a grave mistake he made. For Blackthorn would be corrupted by Shadow Lords, 3 creatures of cowardness, hatred, and falsehood. He took with him knights alongside with the scribe Remo. Thanks to Remo, we can tell the events that transpired on this virtue-forsaken trip. The Shadow Lords attacked, killing Lord British's knights and capturing Lord British. Yes, even our great lord, with his great powers, was no match for them. The only survivors were Remo and the Knight Shauna. It is unknown what happened to them, but no doubt they met their fate in the underworld. Only thing that was found was Remo's writings. We know from Lord British himself that in prison he made a friend, a gargoyle named Sinvrail, and convinced him to abandon the service of the Shadow Lords. Even from prison, Lord British found out that Lord Blackthorn fell under the sway of the Shadow Lords, and that Avatar came to Britannia to save him. He communicated with the Avatar through his apparition, blessing him and healing his party when he could. He even saved them from death. After Avatar freed Lord British and left for Earth, Lord British dealt with his old companion, but he could not bring himself to punish his old friend harshly. He gave Blackthorn a choice, either to be in exile or facing judgment of the council. Using the orb of the moon, British sent his longtime companion to another world. Soon after, gargoyles broke out from the underworld, attacking shrines of Britannia, along with the cities. Lord British commanded the war effort from his castle. Gargoyle summoned Avatar to sacrifice him, but valiant companions of the Avatar managed to save him. Lord British met the Avatar, gave him weapon and armor, asking Avatar to destroy gargoyles. But Avatar had different plans. He forced Lord British and Lord Draxonism into an uneasy peace by sending Codex into the void and giving 2 lenses to each of the rulers. They needed both to peer into the void, thus forcing both gargoyle and man into finding a common tongue. This at first angered Lord British, but he tried his best to follow Avatar's judgment. After all, Avatar never gave him any reason to doubt it. He even granted the gargoyles sit on his council. At this point, Sir Cabras asked Lord British for permission to build a colony in Stygian Abyss. Lord British agreed, sending his master of hounds Almric as the leader of the colony. At this point, Lord British was contacted by the creatures called wisps, who informed him of a dangerous power rising in the world of Eden. British sent Avatar to investigate, who solved the problem. Of course, Lord British kept watch over his champion even in the world of Eden. Meanwhile, a horrible strife occurred in Britannia. Lords led battles against each other, but Lord British for some reason did not intervene. I suspect he thought that his intervention would only cause more problems. A man named Batlin asked Lord British for the permission to open new temple for the group called Fellowship. Not seeing the problem at first, our Lord agreed. Because of the Fellowship's ideology spreading Britannia, Britannia was plagued at this time with racism, civil strife, and overtaxation. Until, of course, Avatar came back to Britannia, and in good time as well, for Isles of Fire rose from the seas. Lord British gave Avatar a ship called Golden Ink. Alongside was the Crystal Ball for navigation. Avatar fixed this problem and Lord British greatly rewarded him. Avatar also exposed Batlin and Fellowship for their misdeeds and their attempt to summon an interdimensional being called Guardian, who intended to cause more strife to Britannia. At this point, Lord British stopped the corruption in this land, outlawing the Fellowship. Rumors also spread that our noble Lord British himself fell to the corruption, having an affair with Nell, a servant in the Castle British, even impregnating her. She was engaged to Kuroshio, the overseer of the playgrounds. It is also rumored that Lord British paid him quite well to marry Nell. There were also talks of a certain will that included unborn child. But I say it's all slander. Such great man would never fall to such basic desires. A year later, Lord British held the celebration in his castle, but Guardian struck once more. He encased the Castle British into a black rock shell. Avatar set out to fix the problems. Meanwhile, Lord British tried his best to manage the castle, but he quickly lost all the control. The castle staff went on strike because of mistreatment. Avatar convinced Lord British to submit to their demands, but resources kept running out and Mayor Patterson even assassinated Lady Troy and Nelson. Avatar finally managed to destroy the black rock surrounding the castle. This unfortunate event did not go unnoticed, for it did indeed expose the weakness of Lord British. Gweno, wife of Iolo, left for Serpent Isles, leaving instructions to Lord British on how to follow her. And thankfully she did so. For 6 months later, Lord British discovered a scroll in personal belongings of Batlin that instructed him to set out for Serpent Isles. Lord British sent Avatar after him. A storm struck Britannia, which teleported away a royal mint. This was not the only misfortune that struck Britannia, but a sleeping sickness also spread, which took down many inhabitants of Britannia. Gargoyles and amps were affected the most. And finally, the earthquake shattered Castle Britannia. This fact brought Lord British into a great despair and distress. He even dreamed of the Avatar, telling him of all the ills of Britannia, which he could not fix himself, but unfortunately, Avatar would not show up. Things got from bad to worse. A giant column erupted in Britannia, corrupting the behavior of many of its citizens. Iolo was sent to investigate, but he did not return from his mission. I would think that these are the events that affected Lord British's rapid aging. After all the stress, he was not the same man anymore. His youthful ideas of creating the utopia disappeared with his youthful look. All that was left from him was broken-down old man, but his hopes were lifted when Avatar came back once more. He gave the Avatar everything he needed to start out the quest. Blackthorn challenged Avatar to a duel. Surprisingly enough, Lord British showed up instead, killing Blackthorn and recovering Codex of Ultimate Wisdom. Lord British even apologized to Avatar. He realized that he relied on Avatar too much. That Britannia itself relied on Avatar too much. If Britannia was destined to survive, it needed to stand on its own 2 feet. Lord British aligned the moons for Avatar to access the Shrine of Spirituality, after which he said goodbye to Avatar. When Avatar defeated the Guardian, Lord British went to the place of final battle, where Avatar's lover Raven discovered an Ankh. This ends story of Lord British for now, the story of a youth filled with hope, visionary with bright future, who was beaten down by life, only to find the new strength to help the world of Britannia make a final step to its development, to be independent, to fight for its own survival. Despite of the fact that Lord British made many mistakes, he is still a great ruler who reformed the laws and kept the Britannia somewhat balanced and fair. Many might think this broken-down white-haired lord is a symbol of declining and demising Britannia, but I would say not. I would say he is a symbol of wisdom and the fact that finally, the Britannia grew up. Thank you for watching my video, and please tell me if you like this kind of videos, or if you want to see any other video about RPG lore on my channel. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.
If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment. Thank you very much.